Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Tavern. My name's Christopher Lee. Today is June 1st, 2022. Welcome back. Again, I am Christopher Lee. I've been in the entertainment industry for about 10 years, worked with various companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering, Universal Creative, designing theme parks such as the Galaxy's Edge, Buzz Lightyear, and worked on the Nintendo Land's Bowser's Castle, the attraction. And today I'm here with my buddy Michael. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Welker. I am also from the theme park industry. I'm a writer, creative professional, semi-retired theme park producer. I've worked also at Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Creative. I've known Chris for about 10 years. We both worked on a couple of projects together, Shanghai Disneyland and most recently Super Nintendo World in Osaka, Japan. And once the pandemic hit, basically, Chris and I found ourselves in between projects with a lot of extra time on our hands. And we said, hey, let's put our heads together and do something creative together. Long story short, that kind of morphed and changed over a couple of months and eventually turned into, hey, let's make a video game. Let's learn how to make a video game since neither of us have ever done it before. And let's stream it. And let's stream it on a platform that we can celebrate creative process and teach people about it and give people a window into our creative process, how we do it, all of the fun and exciting and sexy stuff, but also some of the difficult, not so sexy and frustrating parts.
Mm.
Um, and that became the Creative Tavern, which is what you're watching right now. So welcome to the show.
Yes, yes, definitely welcome. And this, like Michael said, this is a platform for you guys, and that if you guys have any projects that you guys are doing, any amazing artwork that you guys are doing, any stories you guys are doing, any woodwork, I don't care, XYZ, anything that is creative at all, feel free to join our Discord and post anything and everything that you created to share, again, your experiences, your successes, your failure is not the right word. Well, actually, no. Failure sometimes is part of design. Sometimes you have to fail in order to succeed. So yes, share with us your failures, because hell, I will share with you guys my failures too. But it's essentially it's a place of creativity, and it's a tavern where people can go and just share one another's stories, and hopefully edify one another, elevate one another up in order to get to where we need to be as creative design nerds and the creative people, right? Um, so Michael, I will go ahead and say I will go first. I will do a recap of what we talked about last week and what I did this week. So let's get started. All
Fantastic.
right. All right. So the first things first, I need to go to the right scene. Boom. Well, hold on. Yeah, share my screen. Jordan is here. Hey, Jordan, how are you, my man?
Jordan, welcome.
I'm gonna share screen. This is the screen that I want to share. It's three. Michael, do you see what I am seeing right now?
Oh, hang on. I gotta click watch stream. And yep.
All right, cool. And chat, you hopefully can see this as well. However, that is not the one that I want you guys to see first. Oh, you guys are seeing us thrice or twice. What I need to do is open up the previous model. Boom, there you
Ooh.
go. So this is the previous model, and I have to share to this. Nope. See, that's the thing with OBS. Currently, you guys, I am using a older version of OBS because um, OBS, the latest OBS version is being stupid, right? So I can't use that at the moment. Um, what you guys are seeing on the screen right now is there you go. Boom, perfect. This is what you guys are seeing is what I did last week, right? What can I say about last week's? Last week I showed Michael this new design of the fuel tower, if you will. Thank you so much, King Cast. King Cast is following. Welcome, King Cast. This
Hey,
is
King.
yeah,
Welcome.
it's so awesome to see you on this channel. Yeah, King is one of my followers of my Lead Design Studio channel. He's been extraordinarily um, what is it, supportive, and that he's always like promoting my stuff to other channels, and he's just being a really really cool guy. So I owe him a lot, and thank you so much, Shane, for being here. And he's also a DM, which is a for D&D. DM is a dungeon master, D&D. Very 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 talented.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of which, King says, I bribed my players by giving them advantage if they sub to your YouTube.
oh my
That's
gosh!
awesome.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much, King. Holy cow! That's that's that is awesome. Thank you so much, man. Really, really appreciate that. All right. And again, welcome, and sit back and just check out some of the stuff that me and Michael and I have designed. So again, this was one of the updates for the fuel cells, and all I really did was just I added these little hexagonal brackets because without it, in my opinion, it's just up and down. It's just kind of boring. And granted, still, this is not the final. It's just something I'm playing around with. Just it's there
Sure.
for now, right? As well as what else? I've created a really 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 super short um animation, right? Of a railway system based on a path. So essentially, Michael has taught me how to, or not taught me in Blender, but he has shown me there is a way in Unity how to create a railway system using what is it? What is it called? Sorry, Michael.
Cinemachine.
Cinemachine. Thank you. He used Cinemachine in order to create kind of this kind of like track system, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe Blender could do something like that too. Is there a way to connect a camera onto a path and then have that camera animate on that path? And then basically that in itself is a rail system. And so I did this little short test, and it does work. It does work. Um, Granted, it's super short. That's because I've only, just did a little part of it. It's not super sexy at all. But this week I actually created a video based on this new finding, new learning that I learned off of YouTube. And YouTube content creators, thank you again so much for your guys' amazing tutorials. Without you guys, I would not be where I am today without your guys' amazing tutorials. So, YouTube content creators, please continue to do what you do, and make sure you guys give a like and subscribe to them as well. All right. So what else? What else can I say? Oh. So one of my homework is I was I wasn't told, but I told myself that I want I want to redesign this little spider bot guy. We kind of want these little guys to be in here so that we can have something to shoot. They are essentially here, kind of like sucking the energy out from the fuel cell canisters, and maybe they could be animated like jumping from one cell to another. I don't know. Maybe that works. Maybe that doesn't work. We'll find out. So redesign that, and as well as kind of create a little cup link, a power cup link that can go maybe right here, right, in order to kind of dislodge or overpower or whatever we want to do. Something for us to shoot at here in order to, create a chain reaction to happen, right? Okay. Anything else, Michael? I can't remember off the top of my head. It's hard to think and talk at the same time for me, but I'm
You're
working
doing
at it,
great.
guys. I'm working at it. Um,
No, yeah, I think you hit all the major points.
okay, cool. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I will close this program, to save some RAM. Close. Okay. So now you guys are seeing this. Michael, what are you seeing?
Yep, I'm seeing the lineup of drones with
Okay,
the
great.
looks like the Spiderbot redesign.
Nice. Awesome. So this right here is my new spider bot design that I created. I'm going to just in order to not mess it up, just gonna create another one. do something like that. And so this right here should be like, oh, really, really big, right? And then for this little guy, I was thinking like maybe putting it here around this area-ish. So, and how big or how small, Michael and I will figure that out later. But these guys are basically kind of like little bots that are attached to the canisters, and they just suck the living crap out of the fuel, something like that. And then we'll just be like flying around and trying to kill these guys. Pew pew pew. King Cass says, "Thank you for the love. I am here pretty tired, so I'm going to lay down, but I'm here listening and watching." Ah, thank you so much, man. Yeah, definitely get the rest that you need to. I'm just very, very thankful that everyone is here. Confetti Yeti, I see you lurking. Thank you for being a lurker. A lurker. Yeah. Okay, so
Hey, Confetti.
Michael, what do you think about this bot? What I try to do is make sure that they all kind of are from the same family. Use the same heads, just use the same design of
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm,
heads, and then kind of I took these little things from this thing right here, and then I
mm-hmm.
just kind of like recycled it and just made it as little feet that can attach to
Yeah.
the to the back. And I'm not a character designer or a robot designer, so I apologize in advance. My goal is to just make them look cool. Um, I know the joint system isn't like, if you really, really look at it, you'd be like, what the fuck? It's like, well, there's nothing connecting that. Um, I'm just gonna say, don't look at it. Don't look at it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just look at the overall shapes for now. If and when the time comes, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. But at a, at a far glance, as long as it reads, as a sharp object, spider-looking thingy-majiggy, and yet different. They look like they're from the same family, but they have a different shape. That was my main goal to this designing this new bot. Trying to find a way not to create more work for myself, uh, but as well as creating a new asset for our game. Michael, any thoughts?
Yes. I really like it. I like what you've done, especially your thinking and reasoning behind the design choices that you made with, continuing to be consistent with that same uniform head shape that is just like, off the factory line. We've got, this is the body head unit, the like abdomen, I guess, of the drone, and then depending on what attachments go onto it determines what type of drone it becomes.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, that's fantastic, and I think it's well integrated here. I also really like the carryover of the sort of like the sharp shoulder pad pieces from the boss.
Mm.
Um, One of the things that's really cool is it reminds me, shout out to any Zelda Ocarina of fan times in the chat. One of the things that it really reminds me of is in the Deku Tree, which we actually played together.
Mm.
Um,
Nice.
the boss in that area is like King Goma. She's like this infernal arachnid or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but she's kind of like this uh, goopy spider looking kind of a thing. And she has these little like baby Gomas have a very similar design flavor to her, but they're just like this smaller chibi, almost cute version of these little things that are trying to kill you. So
Mm.
I'm kind of getting that same vibe here where you've got like the pit boss and then she's got these sort of like little minions that are more closely related to her than the other drones are, where the other drones where the boss and all of the drones definitely feel like they're all from the same like, species of of enemy, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But the the little spider drones and the boss feel like, oh, they're actually the same, family. Like they almost
Hmm.
look like they're like her little babies or something. So that's
Right.
cool. I like that.
Awesome.
Um, the only thing that that it's a note that I have, but I kind of feel like you've all like what you have is better anyway because it solves this problem that my note introduces, and that is The note would be the direction that the head points for a like quadrupedal arachnid type thing. I feel like it should actually be rotated 90 degrees,
Yeah.
assuming that the thing would be like running on the ground. However, from a gameplay perspective, yeah, that's not really going to work for us in this case because we need the player to see that red
Head.
spot
Yeah.
on the
Yep.
head and be able to shoot it. And when the thing
Yep.
is attached to a vertical surface, it's got to be
Mm-hmm.
looking out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So with that said, yeah, I think what you've done by like rotating it up and away actually makes the most sense and is going to be the best thing for like shooting and stuff. Um, so yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think that's a note we need to take any action on. It was just something that popped into my brain, and then also introduced that problem. But since the current design that you have solves that problem, let's not even introduce that design note. But I just wanted
Yeah.
to throw it out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely great note, and I had the same thought as well. I first designed it like this, but now I'm looking at it.
Mm.
I probably later on, I probably could design like a mechanism that goes between like this area right here, just to
Mm.
show that it can actually rotate its head, like up if it had to.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
like give it a neck.
yeah, exactly, kind of like going like looking up like this. Um, I unfortunately I don't have a lot of experiences designing joints, heads, but that's just an
Mm.
excuse. That's just something I got to figure out. But essentially, I just got to create like a part of something in this area where it allows
Mm-hmm.
the head to oh shit, uh, uh, the head to rotate this way so that
Sure.
when it is in this position, we'll see it. We'll see the red of the face. 'Cause yeah, if it's not looking up at us, we won't be able to
Mm-hmm.
see the face of it. That was one of the things that I was trying my
Right.
best to do. Um, but yeah, a great point, Michael.
Hmm.
I absolutely agree with you.
You know, one other thing that we could do with these guys is if you have the head facing at 90 degrees, so like the correct position, assuming that it was walking on the ground,
Yeah, yeah.
and we added a design element to it that was maybe like a big tank on its back to store the fuel. So when it's attached to this like fuel thing, it's like
Hmm.
sucking out of there and it's filling up this tank, which then
Oh,
that becomes like the target. So you like if you shoot that, then you get a nice big explosion. So then we don't have to worry about the red eye being the target,
sure.
because now this like big green tank canister is actually the like sec the primary target, and the red eye
Right.
would be like the secondary.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we need to go back and redesign all this. I'm perfectly happy to. I'm putting my producer's hat on and saying it's fine the way it is. You can plus it and add later.
Later on. Okay. All right. That's good to know. I love that though. I love the fact that it's kind of like a mosquito, right? You see a mosquito, you want to like just squish the shit out of it,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Fuck, that's good. All right. Yeah. Well, when we get to that point, and if and when we do have time, for example, like if you're programming all this stuff in Unity, and I have like, nothing to do, nothing up to do, nothing else to do,
Sure.
then I will go and create a new thing. Oh, thank you so much, Mass Coyote. Really appreciate for the follow. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Woo!
That is
Thank
awesome.
you.
Well,
Welcome.
welcome to the Creative Tavern, and please in the chat, for those of you who have not, let us know what your favorite drink is, either alcoholic or otherwise, because later on during the Q&A session, I will serve you guys digital drinks. It's kind of dumb but it's fun. So yes, let me know
I
what your
think it's
guys'
cool.
yeah, thank you. Let me know what your guys' favorite drink is. The Mask Coyote says, "You got it. King has turned me onto your channel. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it, man. He played D&D with us tonight. That is cool. We have a
Oh
fellow
yeah.
D&D player. That is so awesome. Welcome again, the Mask Coyote. And also, and King says, He played D&D with us tonight. King Cass says red sangria. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Ooh.
This is just for King. Really quickly. I know that we're in the middle of our thing, but King is a hold on. He has supported us. Why can't I find him? I just saw him. His drink. Where is his drink? I am absolutely blind right now. I can't find it. Uh, what the hell? All right. Well, Gentleman Heavy, Jordan. Oh, here it is. Oh, I named it Sangria. That's why. Stupid.
Mm.
So here is your drink, King Cass. Thank you for all that you do. There you go. I put it right there. Ha! I'll put it right next to Michael. Boom.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That looks amazing.
Yeah. So yes, let me know what your favorite drink is, the Masked Coyote, and I will make it for you. And hopefully, uh, for next time we meet, we will be able to give you that drink. All right? Okay. So let me turn that off right now. Thank you so much, Esmeralda Art, for following. Yeah. Thank you.
All
And
right.
yeah,
Welcome.
welcome. I have your drink, and I will put it on a little bit later too. So yes, welcome. All right. So sorry. Hello. All right. So let me get back to the thing. But yes, after we finish all the design and when I have time, when we both have time, I will go back in and redesign the bots. And but for now, this is at a good stopping point for the bots. And let's go ahead and check out what I did for this week. Is that okay, Michael?
Sure. Yeah,
All
that
right.
sounds great.
Let me go ahead and save, and I will close this window to save on some RAM because my CPU is poop. Right now, you guys are seeing uh, the close window for Blender. Boom. All right, you guys see this? You guys see this? It works. All
Yeah.
right, cool. It works.
Wow.
All right. Hold on. I have a video for you guys. Anime Jesus. Anime Jesus says sparkling vodka. Okay. Let me write that down.
Ooh, good
Sparkling
choice.
HJ sparkling vodka. All right. Next time you guys come, Anime Jesus. Next time you come in, I will give you a digital sparkling vodka. And the Masked Coyote. Please let me know what you want to drink too. And welcome again, both of you guys. All you guys. Yeah. All right, so let me go ahead. Let me pull up share video and make sure it's scene 5. Hold on. This may or may not work. Oh, it's working. It's working. Hold on. All right, hold on. Oh, shoot, Michael, I need to share it with you. All right,
It's
hold
okay.
on.
I can watch it on the stream. I'll just be delayed.
No. I don't want that. Let me stop streaming and share
Okay.
my stream. I'm gonna stream it to my monitor. Thank you guys for your patience. I really appreciate it. This whole technical stuff is it's a pain in the butt. All right, I am streaming it now to Michael. The Masked Coyote says, "I'm simple,
I can see it.
just a Pepsi guy. You got it." All right, the Masked Coyote. Really quick, what is your and Michael, correct me if I'm wrong. What is your role in D&D? Or what is your character? What's the right way to ask them, Michael? I'm not good at this.
Mm,
What is your
I
trait? What
mean,
is your character?
you could ask like I think D&D refers to them as classes, right?
Ah,
So like your class is like are you a warrior? Are you a hunter? You know.
yeah. Let us know what you are. I'm very curious. How about you, King? I know you're a DM, but I never asked you what class you are. All right, let me go ahead and start the video. And hopefully the volume is up. Hopefully it's not too loud. It won't kill my ears or your ears, Michael, and your guys' ears as well. All right, I'm playing it. I'm playing it. So this is the new level. I don't have any enemies in there yet, but I included the power coupling in red, something that we can or may not shoot at the moment. We're just flying around the space. Doing awesome barrel rolls that maybe one or two, just maybe, I did it a little bit too much. In this part of the stage right now, we're purely shooting at robots. And let me know, guys, if it makes you feel motion sickness, if you guys have any motion sickness watching this, because I went a little bit trigger happy with designing the path and putting as many barrels as there is. And Michael, you notice that I'm taking a quick little detour outside of the asteroids and into this into the space, and then we fall
Uh-huh.
back into the asteroid.
Yeah, that's awesome, actually.
And now I programmed the path, or I plotted the path to shoot all the power couplings.
Mm.
Last night I actually put the Tron music to it, and it was actually really good too. And I didn't want to use it because I didn't want to get struck down by Twitch or YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. And so for next week, I think my homework will be placing all the enemies in there so that you can actually feel you're passing through stuff. Because right now we're just flying through the environments. Captain Blue Blue says the path up out of the asteroid for a moment serves as a nice and needed little breather before going in again. Yeah, and that's part of the reason why. Because
Totally.
a lot of movies do that. You shoot out and then you come back in again, and that's I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. Maybe that would be interesting. The Masked Coyote says that's so cool. Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate that comment. And yeah, again, right now I'm just playing with the path, and right now I'm not really showing. There is no real any particular path I'm going except flying through the space, trying to make it feel interesting. And granted, objectively speaking, I think I overdid it. But again, this is just practice and just me having fun. And this is all done in Blender, putting a camera on a path, and obviously right there you see a cutscene because I just did way too much, and I was like, yeah, you guys don't need to see too much of this. Okay, so now, and obviously I didn't animate it, but this is the part where we are chasing the mini boss out of the asteroid. So imagine if the mini boss was flying out and then we're just pursuing it. And then we are done.
Man, awesome work, Chris. That was amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And I gave myself a clap. Anyway, so yes, that is what it is right now. All right, cool. All right, so let us go in. All right, let me okay, so now I'm back into the model. This right here is our huge asteroid, which I will now turn on the back face culling so that we could actually see inside. And you can tell, Michael, that this right here is the path of
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's oh actually if I went ahead and go back in here and if I played it, you can see the path that it takes. It's kind of like in a little roller coaster, right?
Yeah,
You could actually
exactly.
see a path of where you're going. Yeah. So basically following a path. And within that
Hmm.
path, I'm able to control the pitch and yaw and roll. I don't know which one is the right term. But yeah,
That's roll.
roll. Right, right, right. So I could like do like a little barrel roll here. I could totally do like a 360 or 180 and or a 720, something like that. 720. Yeah. Um
Meow.
yeah. And Michael, obviously this is just for exercise purpose. But if and when we
Sure.
do start to really, really design it, I want you to make sure that you hold my hand and say, whoa, 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 too many barrels, Chris. Way too many. Let's pull back, pull back. Um,
Sure.
yeah. Anyways, okay. So what else do I want to share with you? Captain Blue says the thought for textures later. I kind of want to see rock textures with unnatural vertical stripes on top of it to represent a mechanical mining process that took place inside that didn't take place on the rock textures
Oh
on the
yeah.
outside.
That's a
I wonder if
great
that
note.
makes sense. That is a freaking awesome note, and I'm just gonna copy and then boop, paste, paste. Cap
Yeah,
Blue
that's
Blue.
great.
Thank you so much. If you guys give good comments and ideas, I'm Michael and I will credit you for your amazing influence and just being part of the game. Thank you
Yeah,
for being here.
and the suggestions and ideas that you have can make it into the game. So if you want to have an influence, that's part of the reason for us doing this live with you, is not
Hmm.
just to give you a window into the process, but also kind of invite you in and be like, hey, if
Hmm.
you see something, say something.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yes, definitely textures. All right. Oh, here you go. So, Michael, I went ahead and created I'm not loving it, like it's not done, but it's something right now. This is some maybe
Totally.
like maybe like a coupling, like a power coupling? Is that what I said? That we can shoot to create a chain reaction to overload the system somehow in order for this to blast up in the air like we talked about last week, how if and when
Hmm.
we do overload the thing, it'll emit a beam of energy that goes, and then it's gonna basically fry the mothership or not mothership, the mini boss is gonna be like and then it's gonna wanna get the frack out of there, like screw this,
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm leaving, bye, uh, hold on, as in bye bitches, something like that. And that's when we are flying, chasing the the mini boss. What else? What else do I want to talk about? There's the path, there's a coupling, there's the little guy in there. Um, I think that's about it. Your thoughts, Michael? And chat, let me know what you guys
Sure.
think.
Um, so first, awesome, good job, great work, especially for a Wednesday, because as longtime viewers will know, the Wednesday stream, it's a lot harder to make content for than the Sunday stream because there's not much time between Sunday and Wednesday. Um, Even though it's only like 1 day shorter, it feels a
Feels
lot shorter.
shorter. Yeah, it's
So
weird.
great. Yeah, so good job for getting so much done on in the short during the short break.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Um
Appreciate it.
and it's super fun and helpful to have the that long fly through in there doing all kinds of different maneuvers. I think that's going to be really helpful for us as we start defining what the actual rail is in the game. We can use that as like, oh, there was a little moment right there. Like, let's make sure that we, crop that piece out and make sure that goes into the game. And then there's this
Hmm.
other thing that happens like 35 seconds later, right here, where you're kind of doing this thing. Like, that's a cool moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Which is great because that was kind of like the plan coming out of last session was like, hey, go ahead and put a rail in there. Don't
Hmm.
worry too
Hmm.
much about the gameplay piece of it, but just do stuff that is like cinematically cool. that would make it fun and feel like you're actually in this, sci-fi action adventure starfighter movie.
Hmm.
Um, so that's cool. I think your assessment though is right that it's a bit too much that we went like a little bit too far, which is great because now we know the end point. We're like, okay, that's too far. Now we can just walk back from that to get to the sweet spot.
Hmm.
I think the quantity of pillars and like couplings is possibly too much. Kind of depends on how much shooting we have to do
Hmm.
to them.
That,
But I think it could get to a point where it's like, okay, I got it.
yeah,
I've shot a bunch of these couplings. I'm tired now. Like
yeah,
let's stop.
sure, sure.
So I think
I'm
we might have two. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm more than happy to take a few out. I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can either like actually delete columns out of the
Hmm.
space
Hmm.
or leave them as is, play the game, and then change the color coding on some of the like couplings to designate them as like this is not one of the targets. We're not going to
Hmm.
shoot this one.
Hmm.
So that way you can still maintain the same sort of like architecture in the space, but we'll use color to denote which things are actually part of your mission objectives and which aren't.
Right.
Um, as
One
far as
one
the go ahead.
sorry. One note that I will say, again, I totally agree with you on there may be a one, too many power posts, right? The vertical power cores stations. Um,
Hmm.
but there's also a chance that when we light this interior, for example, let's just say this interior is really dark, right? But if
Hmm.
we light it a certain way, you won't see as many posts. You will only see like a
Right.
indication, right? Because right now it's like a kind of like a white model, or technically it's like a gray model, that you see everything. But once it's lit, maybe we won't see every single thing. And to your point, we
Hmm.
will
Hmm.
indicate the couplings that you will shoot. And also, I mean, if we're passing by it, obviously we'll probably shoot it. If we're not passing by it, then
Sure.
we don't have to, indicate that at all. Sorry, Michael,
Right.
you were also saying something else. And Michael, sorry, can you move yourself a little bit to the center of the camera?
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, sweet, perfect. And you were saying, Michael?
Yeah. Great notes. So the last thing that I was gonna say is for the couplings themselves. I know you said you're not thrilled with the design yet. It's a start, but you want to do additional work. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really good start. However, and we can go one of two ways with this, with what I'm about to say. On the one hand, we can kind of keep going with the design that you have, improvising or improving it to make it better. But I think we should probably revisit this story and sort of like gameplay function of the couplings,
Sure.
or we can potentially redesign them because the way they read to me currently, like if I shoot that thing and it blows up, my expectation is that that cable is going to like fall away and that the thing that I was doing was whatever was like passing through that cable, I'm stopping that. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, the thing that is like the most readable, that makes the most sense story wise and from a gameplay perspective is if the or if the boss is siphoning all of the energy from this space, then I would imagine that those tubes she's basically sucking energy, sucking the resource from those columns into those tubes, into the central column, and then up into, her reservoir or whatever she's doing. As opposed to those couplings are like regulating because if those couplings are regulating how much fuel is going into the center, and the gameplay idea is that you're shooting them to disable the regulation, so that way it's just free flowing, and there's just going to be a whole bunch of energy that surges into the core. We don't want those the you don't want the tube to break away.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would need to change the coupling design, I think, to indicate that you're not shooting the coupling itself. You're actually shooting some kind of regulator that's attached to it that is a filter. It's like it's the thing that's governing how much of the resource is passing into the tube. So it would maybe need to be like shift the red component on top, and maybe it looks like, I don't know, a block or a lock or some kind of big switch or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it can indicate like, oh, I'm shooting the switch that is attached to this tube, but I'm not actually like trying to, break the tube away itself. Whereas currently it looks like that's what you're shooting. You're shooting the head of the connection to try to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
break it. So, so that's kind of what I meant with like we can go one of two ways. We can either stick with what we're currently going with, but maybe change the story a little bit and be like, hey, she's sucking out all the resources. Like, cut her off. Like, shoot all the couplings. That way she can't uh, suck out of the columns anymore. But if we really like the idea of like overloading the core, then maybe we should look at adjusting what you're shooting with at the coupling to very clearly indicate to the player that the thing that you're shooting is not going, like you wouldn't shoot it because like currently like that thing, if I were to
Mm-hmm.
shoot that and the like claw-like piece that is attached to the tube didn't break away and fall away, I'd feel kind of like confused, like, well,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
did I do? Um, so yeah. Anyway, without rambling way off range again, that's like my knee-jerk reaction to that design. What do you think?
So what you're saying is create a kind of an object, a device here where we shoot it off instead of shooting this piece right here to make the whole.
Uh,
I'm sorry. Can you see my mouse?
actually, yes, I can see your mouse.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't attach something to so like the. Unfortunately, I can't annotate because we're in Discord, not
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Zoom. So I'm going to walk through this, but starting from the far left, far right, you've got the tube.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, far right, not the like
Oh,
the
the
tube
tube.
that's like going off screen. Yeah, yeah. So if you're moving towards the left, then you've got this sort of like claw-like component, right, that is attaching to the
Mm-hmm.
column.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you got that thing. That thing I think is fine. I like that. The sort of like regulator or governor thing that I'm talking about would actually be attached to the column itself and maybe like
I'm sorry.
offset to the
Which
top or
column?
to the
Which column? This column?
so yeah, so you've got the tube and then the claw, and the claw is attaching to the column, right? It's almost like these rings that it's attaching to.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh, can I? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a screenshot and I'm gonna doodle on it, and then I'm
Okay.
gonna
Perfect.
share that with you.
And when you do that, Captain Boo Boo said, "Oh, Esmeralda says, so you guys are making a game?" Yep. Michael and I have combined our forces to create a rail shooter slash kind of like a Star Fox video game. We've never really done it before. I am a more of an illustrator than a 3D modeler, but I love 3D modeling. So hence is why I'm kind of leading the charge of all the 3D assets. And Michael is currently learning Unity, and he's learning how to program. So, creating the assets and taking those assets and putting it into Unity, and boom, put it together will hopefully make a fun little game. Captain Blue says, I think the amount of columns to shoot will be best once the playtesting is done. My recommendation: make it modular and add and remove to your uh, taste. Once you have the playable gray box prototype, yep, have Michael put a
Yep,
series of long
it's a great idea.
cylinders and see how he feels like shooting before getting bored. Yep. I don't look at I don't look I don't want to look like an asshole, but I'm a little worried right now that the cart is put in front of the horse. I think working more on the assets for the links might be risky since you haven't tested if the game objective will be the game yet. Ah, I see. But that's my dev cap going on. As a fan, I love this. Yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think what Captain Blue is saying that we are getting too much into the design of how it looks first before we play test it, right? Because again, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't play well, then designing it to look amazing doesn't really matter one bit. So yeah, I mean having
Right, because if you end up
just
throwing it out anyway.
yeah, exactly. So I mean having just like a column block served its purpose when we actually play the game. So I absolutely agree. Oh, Michael,
Yeah,
go ahead.
totally.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen now so I can show you
Perfect.
what I'm talking about.
So I am going to go
Oh
to
yeah, I guess it's here.
Discord group and
Better text, go live.
um, go watch stream.
Okay.
Sweet. We see it.
Do you see my Affinity photo thing?
Yep, perfect.
Which is just a screenshot of what you got. Okay, so great.
Yep.
So basically what I was saying is like this piece right here is like the claw head, and then this is like the thing that it's attaching to. I was thinking that you would have like some kind of regulator thing up here or something down here. Because to me, shooting something like this would cause an effect to the column, but shooting this component, I would expect this thing to break away.
Right.
And if the idea is that whatever is going on inside the column here, we are removing the regulations so that way it flows into the channel. We can't have this piece break away from that. So story-wise, it depends on what we want that story to be. And I mean, we could modify it to meet the design, or we can modify it to meet the gameplay. Like there's, different ways to approach it. But currently, the way this design reads, based on the story we talked about last time, I think there's a bit of a mismatch.
I agree. So let me, as a homework, I will create a device that goes either on top or below um, the regulator. I will just say it's the regulator device panel thing that we have to shoot in order to let the system overcharge or overload. And does that make sense of what I'm saying? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes perfect
Great.
sense. Yep.
Awesome. And to what I remember from what we said last week was also, remember how you said you wanted to create a sense of urgency? What if the spider bots are chewing on the cords and maybe one or two of those cords have been chewed by the spider bots and they have been detached. And then so it's like, oh crap, we have to first kill all the spider bots on top of the tubes, right? Because we need to overload it, and we need to overload the system. And in order to overload the system, everything needs to be intact.
Gotcha. So you're thinking like you'd have spider bots like here chewing on the cables?
Sure. I mean, and maybe maybe to create a sense of urgency, again, maybe one or two of the cords actually does get destroyed by these bots. And then someone on the internet on the radio is like, don't let them chew the cords. And then so we're like, all right, we got to shoot all the bots away from the cords in order to protect the flow of energy.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And actually that would be a cool phase to have like once so like after the initial phase fighting the drones and then shooting some things, and then we're like, okay, here's how we're going to defeat the boss. Shoot the regulators to overload the system. Once we start doing that, then these little spider bots come out and start chewing on the cables because they know like, oh shit, this is going to kill the boss. So then it becomes like, those little bastards, they're trying to foil our plan. Now we've got to like go kill them and continue to shoot the rest of the regulators. So it becomes this sort of like escalation of the problem where it's like, that's a really good idea, Chris. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for putting it into more eloquent words.
Sure.
Yeah, you make my ideas make our ideas sound a lot better than what I say.
Team
But
effort, buddy.
yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. And oh, and Captain Blue Blue says that's a fun idea. You have a time crunch, and as you shoot them off, you gain more time. Ooh, I like that. But never enough, so only have one or two
Hmm.
passes per spider cable. Per spider cable. Yep, I read that right. For example, you have 30 seconds, then you shoot some spiders off. Now you have 40 seconds, but you spent 3 seconds to do it, so
Yeah.
you are back at 30. Man, that sucks. But yes, I love that.
No.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's great.
You can never gain more time. You're at a minimum of 30. That's
Just
pretty cool.
delaying the inevitable by a
Yes,
little bit.
yes, that is
All
cool.
right.
Thank you,
I'm
Captain
gonna
Blue.
stop
That
sharing my
that is awesome.
screen now. Yeah, great
And
suggestions as always,
I'm
Captain Blue
going
Blue.
to copy that as well and put it in the thing. Boom. Perfect. Thank you.
Um,
Close
all
screen.
right. Sorry, Chris, give me 1 second. I really have to pee. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
sure, no problem. You guys are stuck with me. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me put it on myself. Hold on. Wow, this is such a big screen. And I noticed that my camera I'm currently using my iPhone 8. It is not as it's not as sharp, but hopefully it's not lagging. That's the one thing that I am always afraid of. But you guys can actually see, right? If it's the quality is not as high. But it's fine. It's fine. But hopefully you guys are doing well. Thank you again, everyone, for being here and just checking out some of the stuff. And we have some new people, for example, like Esmeralda Art. Welcome so much for being here, as well as the Mass Coyote. And thank you again, King Cast, for inviting all these people in and promoting this channel. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. So yes. And Captain Blueboo, again, your ideas are always great. And Anime Jesus is here too. Hello, Anime Jesus. It's always good to see you, man. You're always in like all the channels that I watch, so it's always like it's good to see you. That's so cool. Perhaps it was inevitable that the cables get chewed through, but you are just buying time for the central computer to enable safety protocols to prevent a chain reaction. That's really good. That's really good. I like that.
Nice, man. So many ideas.
Yeah, I know. I'm copying
Love
that
it.
as well. Oh, hold on. Let me minimize myself. Oh, go back here. All right. Hold on. This and then hi members. And I'll just keep this running. Anything else, Michael?
I don't think so. Those were the big ones. But otherwise, yeah, this is great. Strong forward progress. So
Well,
thank you, Chris. Good job.
yeah, no problem. Um, so for my homework, I will go ahead and create the little regulator coupling panel device thingy.
Mm-hmm.
As well as what else do I need to do? The hell do I else I need to do? Uh, I think that's it. That's what we talked about. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
I think.
The next pass I want to, even though right now this isn't the final path that we're taking, but I would like to see some enemies when we're flying through the space. I want to see some enemies that we are flying past, and just based on this, and just to see how it feels and how it looks, and maybe that's maybe we I don't know. What do you think about that? Do we need to see that, Michael? Like the enemies?
Um, I mean, it would help. Like I don't know that it's essential.
Uh,
This stage, I don't know that it's essential because one of the things that is going to happen in the game that we're not going to be able to see here is the enemies will fly with the player. So
yeah,
there will be waves where they're kind of like moving with them, and then there's like a moment where you're
yeah,
shooting them. It's not always going to be you're just zipping past them and they're kind of like stationary.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay, that
which is going to, give us kind of a different feel of like, oh, actually, when this wave comes with us and we're kind of moving through these spaces, it feels this way,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
quite different than if you're just zipping past them, then it's that's a different thing. So,
Okay.
but if you include them, then you can at least have a sense of like, oh, okay, there's like a cluster here that maybe there's something happens, and this is like what the size looks like relative to the player ship.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's essential.
Got it. Okay. Um, I will say if and when I have the time, I will include the bots in there for us to fly through. If and
Okay.
when I get to it. But the most important thing is to create kind of a regulator coupling that we will shoot off. Um, I'll do that. And the next thing I want to talk to you, Michael, is what to do next after this stage. I mean, currently as is, Michael, do you feel comfortable with where we are with the 3D model to take this into Unity whenever that time comes, to just fly through?
Totally.
And I'll make sure that you can, take out the fuel columns as necessary. Because if I export it as one big FBX, you probably won't be able to move stuff. It'll just come in as one huge gigantic FBX.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely separate it so that you can mess around with it. But as a scene 5 environment, do you think we could actually move back towards maybe scene 4?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because that's what I was planning on doing for the next phase, next homework is essentially we're working back. So again, my thinking, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And thank you so much, guys, for your everyone's amazing input. I'm going to go ahead and close this right now. Boop. Don't save, and then I will close stop streaming. All right, this is just us two now. Okay, and okay, so the next thing that I want to talk to you about, Michael, is um, so scene 5 is a fairly big space. Oh, hold on. Let me go back to scene 1. Scene 1 is scene 1 we are in space. We are flying around our carrier, right? So scene 1
Hmm.
is big space. Scene 2.
Combine scenes 1 and 2.
Exactly. So 1 and 2 is more or less the big space. And
Yep.
then scene 3, we are flying lower into more of a cityscape, right? We are in more kind of like um, remember when I did that particle system? Like there's like a whole bunch of like it's
Yeah.
like a trench run basically, right? So
Exactly. Yep.
scene 3 is kind of like a industrial looking trench. You can still see the space above you, but all around you is architecture stuff, right? So that in itself is kind of like a open slash closed space because when we're flying through the trench, it's a closed space, but when we look up, it's kind of like open space. It's space, right? Okay, so that's scene 3, and then scene 4, we are going inside of a super super small space, right? It's kind of like that little corridor. It's kind of like flying through like a small little area, tiny area where we have to avoid um, things and not hit like all the architecture elements that's in there. And then so scene 4 is a small space, and then we get to scene 5, which is an interior space. But it's a huge, large space. Obviously, we could fly through and in and out of the columns. So what I'm trying to illustrate is big space, middle space, and then small space, and then big space. So when we're playing through our first level, we're getting like a different feel of the spatial awareness that we are in. So it's never just a huge space, but there's a variation, a contrast of each different scenes. Scenes 1 and 2, open, very, very open space. Scenes 3, it's kind of a mid open space. Where we can still see the space, but we're also in this little trench area. And then scene 4, we're piercing into an asteroid, flying through corridors, and it's very, very tight. And then scene 5, we pass through the corridor, and then boom, a huge reveal, bass drop, boom, 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 and then that's where we're actually in the big uh, uh, interior scene with the mini boss. Does that sound okay with you, Michael?
Yeah, that's very well articulated. That because yeah, that you nailed it with the sort of design experience in each of those places and the different feel that they have. That yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, awesome. And so now, I shall be working backwards.
Hmm.
We are at a happy place with scene five. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
Yes, scene five is great. Before you started talking, I was gonna say for because originally we were talking about five different scenes, which originally were quite a bit different from each other than they are now. And I feel like I was gonna say like we can combine one and two into one, where it's like the big ship in the asteroid field, and you're kind of like shooting things in the sort of dogfight, the
Uh-huh.
Revenge of the Sith scene.
Yeah.
And then you've got scene five at the end, which is the big interior, the big like vaulted ceiling interior space.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, and then we can combine scenes three and four together, where you are still outside, but you're close to the surface of those like three different asteroids that we're flying to, right? The like different um, pieces of the colony, if you will. Um, because the interior piece of it doesn't feel long enough to me to be a scene. Maybe it could just be a really short scene. But I was just gonna say, like, so after scenes one and two combine, which is just the like initial dogfight in the asteroid field, then you've got the space colony asteroid cities rescue. Then you could just go fight the boss. That part where you're like going into the asteroid doesn't feel long enough. Like I can't think of a way to make that long enough and interesting enough right now for it to be called a scene. But I really like the point that you make that it's a great like palette cleanser
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
going from these big open outdoor spaces to like let's get claustrophobic for a little while,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then that makes that big reveal into the big space that much more impactful.
Hmm. Hmm.
So so I think it's still worth doing. I just wonder how long it would be because each of the scenes that we've talked about, the sort of like the asteroid dogfight, the rescue the space colony, fight the boss, each one of those feels like it's going to be a couple of minutes long,
Hmm.
like maybe 5-ish minutes, roughly speaking, a piece. Um, Going through the interior corridors, I don't know that that can be that long. And maybe it doesn't need to be. Maybe it's just like a short scene that is intentionally designed to contrast with the other scenes. The other ones are really long.
Hmm. Hmm.
This one's going to be short. Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of spitting stuff out right now.
Oh, I
But
can make it long.
um,
You know me. I will do what I can to prolong the journey if I see what you're saying. But yeah, no. We can instead of a straight line, I can make it like freaking go in and out, left turn, right turn,
sure.
yeah.
As
We
long
can
as
make
it's
it
interesting.
sure, sure. Yeah, and we could cut it. I mean, that's the thing, like, right? I can make it long as we want. But once we feel like it's getting too long, then we could cut it. Just like the power core stations inside. We feel like, oh, there's too many of those.
Hmm,
Let's take a few out. The same way we could like
sure.
chop the scene four, the interior corridors, like the more claustrophobic scenes. I can make it as long and windy and as much as possible. But it I can make it as long, but it might get a little bit repetitive slash boring, and then we cut it. And so I'm not afraid that it's too short. I'm afraid that it's too long, and that's where you will tell me, oh, let's make it shorter. And that's my thing. That's my take. I don't think it's
Okay.
that should be an issue.
Um, yeah. In that case, proceed. Like
Yeah,
full steam ahead. Let's
yeah,
let's let's see what comes out of it, and we'll adjust it as we feel we need to.
yeah. And
Cool.
that is something that I will work on. And hopefully I can show it to you and you guys by Sunday. Um,
Awesome.
it's going to be very rough, but I should be able to create like just like a what is it? And a quick animation, just to see what you feel and what you guys feel, how it looks. So
Cool.
again, scene 4 is going to be a lot more claustrophobic, and it's going to be much more of a tighter space than what you guys saw today in scene 5. Yeah. Captain Blueboo says ideas are cheap. You two are doing the amazing job of creating things for us to see. Yeah, yeah. That's always the hardest
Thanks,
part
Captain Blue Blue.
is yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you recognizing our hard work. And that, we could always talk about it, right? Blah blah blah, but when the hardest part is actually sitting down on your ass and actually freaking doing it. That's hard. Captain Blue says like a space colony. I think he was talking about the scene 3. We're going
Mm-hmm.
inside of a space colony. So yes, yes, definitely Captain Blue Blue. Okay, so Michael, would you like to talk a little bit about what you and I talked about, not online, um, about
Sure.
the whole Unity process, or progress of where we are right now in our life, and just trying to figure things out with this game and all.
Sure. So, I've got some visuals that I can share of like this process that I'm working through. But before I do that, just kind of like set the table, if you will. Um, so Chris and I have been making this video game for a couple months now. I think we started in earnest on this game, the rail shooter game, because we had dabbled with a bunch of other things before that. We started on this rail shooter project in earnest in February of this year. So that's what, February to March, April, May, a little over three months. Um, and at that time, Chris had used Blender before, but was a little bit rusty and didn't know all of the things that he knows now. So he's like learned a lot. I had never used Unity before, but I've been learning Unity in order to program the game for us. But in addition to that, both Chris and I have a lot of other things that we're doing too. Chris runs various Kickstarters. He's got his, cute pin club. He does these different runs of pins with different designs. He's got tarot cards that he's recently done that took a long time to do. There were like almost 80 different, unique pieces of art, which is nuts. Kudos once again for getting that done, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
So Chris has got a lot of other things that he's doing in addition to, this rail shooter project for the Creative Tavern. I also have a lot of other things that I'm working on, including some other projects that and some writing projects that I'm doing, trying to get some more books out. And at some point that it became a little bit overwhelming. At least for me, I got kind of overwhelmed. I was like, I've got so much on my plate right now. I don't know that I can keep up the pace that I need to with all of these things to be able to do all of this. And sometimes when you're in that position, especially if you have a certain type of mindset that I think both Chris and I have, which is that, hey, can't slow down now. Gotta hustle harder. Gotta really hit it. It can be really hard to tell where you are when you're in the thick of the jungle. It kind of takes somebody else from the outside to like pull you out and be like, hey, you're kind of in a mess here. Like maybe you're doing too much. Like maybe reassess like what's going on here. And that's kind of what I needed from Chris. Last week, we basically had this talk about like where Chris was like, "Hey, maybe you're doing too much. Like you've got an awful lot going on. Like maybe reassess what you're doing and what your priorities are." And so with that said, I kind of took since we last talked, took some time off of Unity and programming to assess like, well, okay, where am I? What am I doing? What should I be doing? Am I spinning my wheels? Like, am I investing my time in the right places or not? And for me, that one of like, so quick side tangent here. One of my like heroes, one of my like creative design heroes is Johnny Ive, who was the like lead, one of the lead designers at Apple. And he, I think he has since retired, but he was like the the lead designer behind the big, I think it was iOS 7 was when the iPhone the iPhone user interface changed from what it used to be to basically an early version of what it still is today. And at that time, it was this huge change. I think they had a different team doing the software at that time, and then they brought Johnny in, and he kind of like helped them shift gears. And it was a pretty monumental shift in graphic design and in user interface design for smartphones at that time. Anyway, in the Apple announcement video for iOS 7, Johnny says something that just blew my mind, and it's something I've never forgotten, and it like really resonates with me. And he's talking about simplicity and simplicity in design. And he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, he basically says that simplicity is about so much more than just the absence of ornamentation and clutter. It's about bringing order to complexity. And I thought, oh my God, yes, yes, like 1,000 times yes. I am so about bringing order to complexity. That's the thing that I feel like I am most drawn to. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a superpower I have, but it's definitely like this thing that I like to do. Like it's a gravitational pull that I have towards it that I cannot help. And so all of that is just to give some context to what I'm about to show you, which is me doing that process of trying to bring order to complexity. Because trying to do life full stop is can be a really complex thing, and you can be spinning a lot of plates and be doing a whole lot of different things and have different projects going and different things that are competing for your time. And especially when you're doing a creative project, there's like so many different ingredients you're throwing into the pot to try to like bake something delicious. It can be hard to keep track of all that. Like, wait a minute, how much flour is in there? And wait, is the bread rising already? What's the temp? There's so much going on that if you don't find some way to organize it, to bring order to this chaos, you can really get lost in it. So all of that is just to intro or to like lead into this work that I did, just to kind of like organize my thoughts and my mind about what the hell am I doing. And so what you're seeing on the screen now is basically I just started like out of my brain. Okay, put everything on the board that you are currently working on, not everything that you want to do at some point in your life, just the stuff that you are like actively trying to get done right now. And this list ended up being way more than I thought. Like I thought maybe there would be like 10 things that would come out of my brain and be like, yeah, I've got 10 things on my plate. Like that's crazy. But as you can see, it's almost like 3 times that. There's like probably 30 things on here. So the first step that I did was like, okay, just get everything out of your brain. This is all the stuff that you are working on or trying to work on or think is important and you should be working on but aren't. Just get it all out there. And as I was doing that, I started to organize them into different like groups, different clusters, where I was like, okay, these things are all kind of related. So for example, as a writer, I am trying to get out more books. Currently, I only have 1 book out, and that's a really important book because I kind of created that book to help me write other books, because it's basically a story how-to book where I went and looked at a bunch of different stories, how they worked, to kind of like in the same way that we're using Unity to build our game, like Unity is a game engine. I wanted to create like a story engine, something that would basically help me expedite the story creation process. So I wrote that book. And then I was supposed to do a whole bunch of stories using that tool, but then I shipped off to Japan for 3 years. And that completely sucked up my life, but it's totally fine because that project was amazing. Wouldn't change
Hmm.
it for the world. The Japan
Hmm.
adventure was incredible, but it
Right.
was kind of a detour for me in terms of writing. But anyway, so I've got these different clusters in here. Writing, I'm trying to write books. Coding, these are the programming projects that I'm working on. Learning, this is all the stuff that I'm trying to, that isn't actively like contributing to like me making a product, but they are skills that I need to acquire in order to make those products, or things I need to understand in order to be able to use the software that makes those products, so on and so forth. Community, that is what we're doing right now. That is everything related to you guys and spending more time on Discord and on Twitch, creating streaming content for you, interacting with the community. And then finally, health. That is a piece that is essential to everybody. And I don't exercise nearly enough, like not as much as I should.
Same
I'm
here.
sure there are plenty of people who can relate because
Yeah.
exercise is hard.
Yep.
Um, but anyway, so I got everything out there on the board, kind of clustered them up, and I wanted to continue the process of like trying to make sense of this. So the next thing that I did is I color coded these, and mostly I did that because of the next step that I want to do. I still wanted to be able to kind of identify these different clusters based on their color, and I didn't want to lose them when they kind of like started getting mixed up with each other. So then the next big step that I did was I took all of those things and I made a chart with a sort of with the x-axis being timeline. And I grouped this into things that are that can be completed, that have an end date that I can complete pretty quickly in the next like 1 to 2 months. Things that maybe take a little bit longer, 3 months, 6 months, a year. And then finally at the far right end, ongoing. That's stuff that's never going to be completed. Those are things that just go on forever. So health and exercise falls into that category. There is no amount of yoga that I can do where I can say like, all right, for the next 12 weeks, 12 hours a day, I'm just going to do yoga, and then I won't ever have to do yoga for the rest of my life. Exercise doesn't work that way. I wish it did. That would be
I
great.
wish
Then
it
we could
did
all
too.
just,
Yep.
yeah, I know, sink in a bunch of time up front, get it done and over with. Like, all right, I'm good for the rest of my life. I'm going to have, perfectly healthy heart and body, and I never have to deal with that again. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So I kind of clustered things this way in order to give myself an idea of like, okay, here are the things that are, potentially quick things that I can do, that I can have done in the next 1 to 2 months, get them off my list, and then move on to other things. And at the far other end, here are the things that I shouldn't worry about trying to get done. These are things that I just need to find a way to incorporate into my long-term plan, either daily, like, going for a run to get cardio in there, setting aside some time to always allow myself to read, so on and so forth. And then the things are in the middle are a little bit hazier, kind of longer term, like, okay, these are bigger projects or bigger goals that are going to take a little bit longer to do. But I still want to be aware of the timelines. And by the way, when I did this, and if you do an exercise like this, you don't need to get these timelines exactly right. This is like a real rough guess based on what I've already done
Hmm.
and what I know still needs to be done. This is my rough guess of like, I think it's going to take about that long to do that thing. But I could be wrong. I'm almost certainly going to be wrong. And months from now, if I do a revision of this, some of those things are going to slide around. Some things will get done earlier, some
Sure.
things will get pushed out further.
Sure.
Especially, if Chris and I don't put our producers hats on often enough, the rail shooter is going to keep sliding out because we're going to keep
Yeah.
adding amazing scope and content to it. But hopefully not. Hopefully that can come out at sooner than later. That way you guys can play it.
Yeah.
So the next thing that I did, now that I had these sort of like clustered chunks of stuff that I'm trying to do and I've got them on a timeline, I needed to see like, well, how are these things interrelated with each other? And so I kind of made this sort of like this spider web of dependencies. Everywhere you see an arrow where you've got one node pointing to another node, that means that the node that's being pointed to depends on the one that's doing the pointing in order for me to actually proceed. So for example, if we look at, so up in the top left, we got Blockbuster Blueprint version 1.1. That's the book that I've written. I'm currently trying to work on an audiobook version of it, but before I do that, I wanted to do a sort of like a revised edition because there's that published that book like about 5 years ago. There's some things that I want to change. I've gotten some feedback from people that I want to incorporate and make some updates to, and I want to do that before the audiobook. But before I can do that, one of the things I need to revisit is like cover design. So that's why I have this green arrow here from book cover design pointing to Blockbuster Blueprint version 1.1 because I need to get this cover design thing done before I can complete that project. Well, in order to do the book cover design, I'm going to need to learn Affinity Designer. And so that arrow is pointing to that. So anytime you're seeing a solid arrow here, it's basically just saying the thing that it's getting pointed to, it depends on me finishing this other thing first, or this other thing will directly benefit and help that thing. Now the dotted lines, those are a little bit softer, meaning that the things that they're pointing to, they're going to help those things, and they're going to make those things better and benefit them, but they're not essential. So for example, CS50, which by the way, CS50 is a free online course provided by Harvard, and it's taught by David Malin, who is an amazing computer science professor. The way he teaches computer science makes it just so palatable, so digestible, and I wouldn't say easy to understand. Computer science is still pretty hard, but it's way easier to understand than a lot of the other resources that I've seen out there. So, and the production quality is so good, and it's all free.
Nice.
And it's called CS50, Computer Science 50. Anyway, so I'm taking that class, and you can see that there's a dotted line from that to Unity Basics here. And so Unity is some learning that I'm doing. Most importantly, this is a prerequisite for, if we follow this line, Project Rail Shooter, the rail shooter that Chris and I are working on. I can't make that rail shooter. I can't do the programming for us without having these Unity basics, the basic Unity skills, if you will. However, CS50 also has a line pointing to Unity Basics, and it's a dotted line because I don't need CS50 to be able to learn Unity, to be able to do this Unity bootcamp that I'm doing, but it's really helpful. There are things that I am taught in CS50 that make the Unity tutorials way easier. There are times when there's a video where the instructor's like, hey, this is a pretty tough computer, science concept. So if you need to rewatch the video a couple of times, that's totally fine. But because I'd already encountered that in CS50, it's like, oh yeah, that's easy, no problem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it can actually help expedite other things in that regard. So I basically did that for everything on here to the best of my abilities, just trying to point arrows to see like, okay, this thing affects that thing, this thing is dependent on this other thing, which then kind of gives you this visual where you can like at a glance look at this and go like, man, there are a whole lot of green arrows over here that are all kind of like spreading out and converging to this one thing, and that one thing is this book cover design. Like, wow, I guess that's pretty important. And there's also some interesting things too happening with, the different dotted lines where you can see like CS50 is helping with, Swift iOS development and Unity basics. And then like, reading obviously helps a whole lot of different things.
Sure.
But then the kind of like final step that I took, like once I had all this up here, is like, okay, that's great. I can see this, like, I've got the timeline, I've got the interdependencies, I can see which things affect other things, and so like where some of the value is of like, you get the most bang for my buck if I do this thing, and I can do this thing now, knock it out and get it out of the way. But as somebody who is not employed and needs to make a living, one of the things that's most important is like, okay, which of these things are actually monetizable and can help me support myself? So that's what the next slide is. I bold all the elements that are like, these are the things that can actually turn into or directly contribute to a product that can go out onto the marketplace. So pretty much everything up here in blue, I mean, these are all books. Like these are ebooks, print books, audio books. This is all stuff that, I'm going to be writing and making. On the bottom here, we've got in red, these are all applications that I'm programming. So we've got our Project Rail Shooter game. There's also the Project Pomodoro, which is a Pomodoro app that I'm making with another friend of mine. And finally, Creative Tavern additional games. Once we're done with the Rail Shooter game, there are other games that Chris and I have talked about being really interested in doing, like maybe mobile games, maybe some kind of digital card game or something. So there's the potential there too. And then finally, like in purple over here, basically the streaming content stuff. Thanks to you guys with subscriptions and donations, all of that stuff, like every little bit helps and counts, and it helps both me and Chris to keep doing what we're doing. So it was important for me to highlight that in this diagram. And the last two slides here, they're just a couple of additions that I made like since then, a couple of things that I thought about, and then this sort of like half-baked pie chart about my time. But really, this slide's the kind of like the most important final slide, and that is just it's a way to kind of visualize all this crazy shit that's going on that I'm trying to do, how it's all related, and give me a sort of visual give me the ability to look at a visual and make some assessments. Look at this, see like which things are pointing to which other things, which things are important, which things can I get done sooner. And allow me the opportunity to say like, there's a lot going on here. Like you got this big spider web of stuff. Like, can we cut some of this stuff out? Are there some things in here that maybe can go onto a back burner or onto the shelf until later? But yeah, anyway, in closing, this is, I hope that was helpful. I hope that there is some value in me having shared this with you, that in organizing the chaos of your own life, that maybe you can find, especially if you are a very visual person like Chris and I both are, that this could potentially be a great way for you to get all the crazy swirling, washing machine of stuff going on in your head into some kind of format where you can take a deep breath and go, there it is. Okay, now I've got something that we can work with. Let's start making some decisions.
Yeah, and I think Michael, this thank you again so much for sharing this because Michael and I were before our stream, we usually meet like 30 minutes in advance just to talk about stuff, and Michael shared this with me and I'm like, wow, Michael, I think our viewers would definitely benefit from this, this crazy ass looking chart. That if you share this with us, we would see how you are dealing with what you said, the washing machine of all these ideas and slash objectives in our lives that that we have. And thank you for sharing this because I think this is really, really valuable in actually seeing what is the highest priority thing that you need to do first to execute first in your life before working on other stuff. And like the pie chart in page 7, there is only a X amount of certain of hours in a day in our life that we can do all the things we want to do. And, Michael and I are super creative people. I mean, I would like to think so, in that we have so many ideas like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. But first, what is the most important thing to do? Obviously, our livelihoods depends on, making money, right? So, for example, what Michael has highlighted here is the Blockbuster Blueprint and also his creative audiobook. That is the thing that will, generate income, for him to eat and and have electricity, as well as for myself,
I
I
like
have
both
kick.
those things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You shouldn't have to give up any of those. And like myself, like I do my Kickstarters and I obviously do freelance, but the goal for myself is to not work forever for, freelance, doing freelance. I want to do what I want to do. I want to stream. I want to make games. I want to draw arts and make pins and do the things that I want to do and not what people hired me to do. Because, when you're hired, you have to there is a certain pressure that you have to make sure you follow certain directions and keep the client happy, right? But if I am my own boss, I will have my own objective, right? However, in order to do that, you have to, have a set priority, and this is a good way to visualize those priorities. Like, what is the most important things in our life? Right now for Michael is to get, the Blockbuster Blueprint done, as well as his audiobook. And part of the reason why Michael brought this up, this whole thing got started, is because I was having a conversation with Michael, and that, it seems like Michael has a lot, or yeah, Michael has a lot of stuff on his plate, and I just felt like I know how he feels, because I've been there before, and that there are so many things that we want to do, but there's just not enough time, right? And then so in order to uncluster everything, Michael created that awesome diagram. And then so if you guys can do that as well, if I can do that as well, we are able to organize our life a little bit better. And Captain Blue said it best, this must be the definition of order from chaos, is to basically take, oh, my thoughts, like, boop, 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 I have so many thoughts, and just take those thoughts and just put it on the freaking paper, on so visually we can actually see, oh, this is important. No, that's not really important. So let's cross that off or move that to the side, and just concentrate on the most important things. And so, with that said, Michael and I came to the conclusion, and Michael, you can agree with me later on or add to it, is that currently, as we move forward, we will be still doing the rail shooter, but we essentially come to the agreement that Michael first needs to finish up his book and slash audiobook, in order to kind of free up some bandwidth on his plate or his pie chart, so that, just to push it out, because right now that is the most certain thing that he can, do to generate income for his livelihood, and that is the most important thing, to him and me, because if he can get that off his plate, then he can, at least for me, because I don't know about you, Michael, when I have something in the back of my head, that is like, oh shoot, I need to do that XYZ thing before I can move on. If I don't finish that, I'm unable to focus to get that certain thing done, right? If I, for example, if I know that I need to hurry up and do a Kickstarter, get that out of the door, and then I can finish up the rail shooter, right? But if I have that Kickstarter not done yet, I'm designing the rail shooter. I'm just like, oh God, it's like I know I need to finish it, but I haven't done that yet. So my mind is at a conflict, and that's not the most healthy way to live, to execute the things that you want to do. Um, so yeah, so that is where we are right now. Hopefully that makes sense, you guys. Is that, at the current plan, Michael is going to uh, continuing on with the rail shooter and giving me input on what I'm doing right now. Because right now, I'm still going to go, still going to be designing the game itself, content wise, model wise, asset wise, while Michael is, finishing up on his book, so that, it could be shipped and be ready to go. But then after that's all done, when I have all created all the assets, then I could say, all right, Michael, we have all the assets. Now that you have some, the free bandwidth, you could take these assets and put it into Unity, and, and go from there. So that is where we are right now. Michael, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, that's very well said. The only thing that I would say in addition to that is that, yeah, so the work on the rail shooter will continue, but the lion's share of the work for now, Chris is going to be doing. I'm not going to stop completely with Unity, but whereas before we were kind of doing each episode, you would see an update from Chris and an update from me. My updates are going to slow down quite a bit. If I have something cool that I've found or that I was able to program since we last talked in Unity, then I'm going to share that with you guys, and Chris. But I'm not going to drive to make sure that every single episode I've got something really cool to share until I get some of these other things done and off my plate, including getting my book and audiobook out there. So once a couple of these other like shorter term projects or objectives are completed, then I can hopefully spend a lot more time with in providing updates from the Unity side of things and programming the game to help kind of drive us to the finish line as we get closer to this completed MVP.
Yeah, and
That's
I
the
think
plan.
yeah, and I think that is a good plan in my opinion for now, and it is because you know and the one of the reasons why we want to share this, be very, very open about this whole process with you guys is that this is part of the process. Life happens, and 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 sometimes we need to cut. Well, fat is not the right word in this case, but we need to adjust our priorities in order to achieve a bigger goal. Um, and hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, we will still be meeting every Wednesday and Sunday. I will still be doing the rail shooter, and Michael will still be giving his thoughts and inputs, and we're just gonna keep going forward. And when the time comes, we'll put everything into Unity and we'll play it. Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully that makes sense, everyone. Yeah. So
Well said,
essentially,
Chris.
yeah, thank you. Essentially, nothing's going to change from your guys' end. We're still going to be, going forward. But that's not to say, Michael, I, I, I'm actually a little curious, that what will he be doing, like some of the book stuff? I would love to hear some of the updates, like, hey, so Michael, what have you been doing with your book? How is your book doing? How's the audio, part of the book doing? And hopefully you can give us a little bit of updates as well, because the Creative Tavern is not just a place to create video games. It's a place to share what I'm doing on a personal level, design wise, creativity wise, because I got something to share with you guys too. Um, a piece of the pie will probably get filled. It's either a distraction or it's gonna be cool. I don't know. I don't know. Uh, some of you guys know what I'm talking about already. But yes, hopefully that can hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Yeah. Um, cool.
Good teaser.
Yes. I think I might just dive in right into it. I mean, do you guys have
Sure.
any questions at all? Let me pop into the question Q&A section right now. And right now I see some people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. Captain Blue Blue is here. Horizon is here. Horizon, I am going, actually, hold on. I'm gonna move
Oh yeah.
the Horizon.
Drinks are served.
Serving some drinks. Serving some drinks. I got my drinks here. I got my drink here. Yeti is probably here. He is probably lurking right now. Here's there must be a better way to do this. Yeah. Esmeralda is here. This is her tea. Jordan is here. That's his strawberry daiquiri. I don't know if Mochi here. Blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
Yeah, who else is in here? Who else is in here? Zen is in here. Zen, I got your pineapple soda in here. Captain Blue Blue says, I have a question about the rail shooter release. Go ahead. What is your question, my good man? Uh, Gentleman Heavy. Was Gentleman Heavy in here today, Michael?
I don't think we've seen Gentleman Heavy yet.
Oh, and all right.
Scroll back through here.
Yeah. And King is. Yeah, I saw King today. Ah, present. Right. Boom.
Oh, and Mass Coyote ordered a Pepsi.
Okay. Mass Coyote, I will definitely get you your Pepsi next stream, because in order to do this little thing I gotta like open up Photoshop and put your name in there and all that stuff. It takes a little time. So
Pepsi's on back order.
yeah, next week, or not next week, next session, you will definitely get it. So yeah. Enjoy the drinks, guys. and Michael has his uh lavender tea, or no, lavender lemonade. I'm sorry, and I got my
Oh
little
yeah.
mojito. Yeah, cool. Yes. Okay. So yeah, while you're getting your questions, Captain Boo, let me share my little teaser slash potential distractions. So, as you guys know, actually, shoot, there's not just one, but actually, there's two. So, I've been thinking about VTubing, and basically, that's it. I have nothing more to say about that because everyone's doing it, and I'm just like, that looks a lot of fun. I want to do it too, you know. I want to not just go on Vroid Studio, or not just go on using the Vroid program and just using whatever template. I want to create my own character, and in order to create my own character, I have to, put it in Blender and then export that into Unity and do with the facial features and everything, and then export that into as a VRM model. There's a lot of technical stuff that I would have to learn and do. That just seems like a lot, right? And but I just want to do it, but again, I gotta be mature in how I tackle these things. And the second thing that I might be a huge potential amazing thing that I do, or it might just like be a huge freaking distraction is I'm thinking about streaming piano, like piano playing. You guys, some of you guys know that I draw, I stream my art online, but I'm thinking about maybe possibly stream a little bit of piano, like a piano session, maybe on every Friday. I could do that, playing piano for maybe an hour or so. Again, that piece of pie, Friday, if I do it Friday, then that's one less day I get to use to design the rail shooter, right? Or do Kickstarter, right? So that's just another thing that I have to do. And again, the whole setup of like, oh, okay, if you're gonna do stream piano, am I gonna stream piano using my upright Sojin piano, or am I going to use a keyboard, electronic keyboard? If I'm going to use an electronic keyboard, then I might have to buy a keyboard. And you know me, I try not to spend any money. I'm very, very frugal. But if I use the upright piano, I'm still going to have to buy recording equipment slash software. So either way, it kind of sucks. So I do have a third option. I do have a keyboard, but I bought it in like '05, like 2005, and that keyboard is actually made for Apple equipment. Oh, I got stuff to say about Apple. Fucking man, Apple. Oh man, so that keyboard was basically made for Apple, and that the program that it uses is GarageBand. However, the laptop that I have right now, it's a MacBook Air that runs off of Sierra, the OS, Sierra OS. Now it's like some other programs that I have. I don't know what it's called, but anyways, I tried to download a version of GarageBand onto Sierra, but lo and behold, they don't do that. They don't have a new GarageBand for Sierra, so I'm just like, what the frack? So I can't use my keyboard for anything. So I was like, what the frack, And then so now I'm gonna have to find solutions. But anyways, that's a long way to say it's a ton of crap that I gotta do. So there's a lot of time and energy that I have to accumulate to figure out what the solution is, right? And then so I'm just like, oh my God, it's such a pain in the butt. Yeah. So there's that. Two potential distraction is VTubing and streaming piano. And I really, really, really want to stream piano because that's something that I love doing. Even though I'm not the best at it, because I've seen some amazing piano artists, musicians on streaming, and I'm just like, holy cow, they're so good. But I kind of want to share with you guys of what I want to do, what I love to do too. Even though I'm not great at it, I still want to be able to do it to show the world that one, even though I'm not great at it, I still want to do it. It's like there's always that fear of someone criticizing, "Ah, Chris doesn't know what the fuck he's doing," you know? It's like he doesn't really know he doesn't really know the C major scale. I know C major scale, but other scales I don't know because I don't have training in that. But it's a passion of mine that I just want to share with the world. And so yeah, that's blah, that's exactly what I'm kind of going through as well. I kind of need to do a visual diagram, just like you, Michael. I know if I don't control my time slash energy, this whole, VTubing thing as well as streaming piano can go off the frackin' rails and just take a whole bunch of my time and energy on that. Anyways, yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, because it's tricky. Like, and maybe this applies to like non-creative people too. But I kind of feel like for creative people, especially as most of the ones that I know, they kind of have the like Raven shiny object syndrome, where it's like we get really excited about things and like, ooh, let me fly down, look at that shiny thing down there. I'm gonna swoop down there and get excited about this thing. And then we like pick that thing up and fly up in the air, we're like all proud, like, ooh, wow, I got this new shiny thing, isn't that cool? And then we see like a little glint in our eye, like drop that thing, go fly
Yep.
over there because now there's a new shiny thing on the ground. Swoop down and go after that thing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's tricky with it though is like with these creative projects, with VTubing, with piano, with my audiobook thing and Affinity Designer and all this stuff, like when you get excited about a thing and you go do it, you quickly realize like, oh, wait a minute. There's all this stuff that I need to buy because there's all this additional equipment that I need in order to do
Mm-hmm.
this thing. And there's software that I need to get. And I need to learn how to use the software. And I need how to learn to use the hardware. And then I need to be able to learn how to troubleshoot it because it's not going to operate in my, with all my other stuff the way.
Stupid
And
Apple.
down the rabbit hole you go. And
Sorry.
before you know it, you're like, wow, this cool shiny object thing. You're like, oh yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Now, it's like the tip of the iceberg. Suddenly, now you see the big thing underneath. Like, whoa, am I really going to commit to dealing with this? And you got to make those assessments.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tricky thing. The other thing that I wanted to say, in response to something that you said, Chris, was about the idea of like, I'm not the best piano player, but there's other people out there who are probably a lot better than me, but I still, and I'm passionate about it, I kind of want to do it. I would say, yes, please do it. And for anybody else who's watching and you have that same feeling about whatever it is that you're doing, that you're like, ooh, there are the people who are better than me. I'm not good enough to be doing this. I need to get better first, or that, I'm not ready. There are a number of different ways to phrase it or different reasons to basically say that you're not good enough to be contributing to the world and to be putting yourself out there and being like, hey, everybody, look at me. Look at this thing that I did. There it is. Have at it.
Mm.
I know because I feel that way a lot of the time, especially like when I wrote my first book. Like I'm writing a book about how to like how stories work, and I'm not a best-selling author or an Oscar-winning screenwriter or anything like that. I've written stories, but I haven't published any. So who the hell am I to be writing a book like this? But the fact is, there's always going to be somebody out there who's better than you.
Mm.
And there's always going to be somebody out there who's not as knowledgeable, who's not as good as you, who can
Mm.
benefit from watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you make the decision to withhold your artwork, your creative contribution, that person who could benefit from you loses. You're robbing them of value that you would be bringing to them by sharing your creative work. So yes, you're going to be on a spectrum somewhere in there. You're going to be better than other people and worse than other people, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you need to wait until you've put in 10,000 hours and you become world class and you're like the best in the world at this thing before you share your work. Share it now,
Mm.
or at the very least when you're ready, and try to be brave because it's hard. Sharing creative work and being vulnerable is tough, but don't let anybody tell you that you can't do that, that you are
Mm.
not welcome to share what you have to bring. Uh, because what you have to bring, maybe that person who's wrong, by the way, who's saying those things, yeah, maybe it's not for them. That's
Mhm, mhm,
fine. You
mhm,
know, your whatever you're doing, your artwork, your creative endeavor, your knowledge, if you're sharing something that you've learned with somebody, it's not going to be for everybody. And there might be people who are like, I know all this, or oh, that's terrible. I could do a better job than that. Yeah,
mhm,
that's fine.
mhm,
It's not for them. This is for the other person who's like, ooh, wow, I'm so glad that I found this. Because if you remember, I had mentioned that the book that I wrote, I was like, who the hell am I to write this book and put it out there and take money from people and say like, hey, yeah, you know, give me a couple bucks and I'm gonna show you my story model. I was so wrapped up in that imposter syndrome and feeling like, dude, you don't have the authority to do this. You shouldn't do this. I almost didn't publish that book, but I did it anyway, thanks to the encouragement from a lot of friends, including Chris. Thank you for that, by the way. But I put the
yeah,
book out there, and if you go to uh, Amazon and you read the reviews, there's one review in there that says, "Hey, I don't know if you read this, you know, dear author, but you mentioned in your book a couple of times that you weren't sure if you should even publish the book, that you know you weren't sure why you were writing that you should share it, and that you almost didn't. I'm so glad that you did because this book has really helped me. It changed everything for me. That one review completely invalidated all those feelings and all those worries that I had about like, oh, I better not.
mhm, mhm,
And so all of that is just to say that feeling is something that's real and that I think a lot of creative people and artists will feel that little imposter syndrome that tells you
yeah,
you better not.
yeah,
We're here to say you better, you should. It'll be
right,
great. Be
right,
brave and
right,
don't let
right,
that voice talk you out of it.
yeah,
So there you go. I
yeah.
said my
Well,
piece.
well said, man. Well said, Michael. Because I totally agree with you. Because I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like we have the thought of like, oh, I got to prepare for it. We got to prepare for it. We got to get better. We got to get better. Then we'll stream. Then we'll share with the rest of the world. I will keep working on this art and then put it on Discord. You know, because I'm afraid to show other people. The truth of the matter is, if we don't just take a leap of faith and just take that first initial step to just do it, um, then we'll never get out there. It's like that guy who says, "Just do it." I forgot that's Transformer guy. I forgot his name. That main character in the Transformer guy. But
Oh,
anyways,
Optimus Prime?
no, not
Does he
Optimus
say just
Prime.
do it?
No.
Oh.
That Witwicky, the guy who played Witwicky, the main protagonist, human guy in the Transformers. I forget his name right
Oh,
now,
oh,
but yeah,
yes, Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. Yeah,
Just
he
do
just
it.
do it. It's kind of
Don't let your
interesting.
dreams be dreams.
Yeah, exactly, King. Thank you so much. Yeah, just do it. And
Oh, I
it's
love that video so much.
yeah, it's I mean, as crazy as that video is, it makes a lot of sense. It's whatever we want to do, creative wise, we sometimes just need to do it and just create that leap of faith. And thank you, Michael, for explaining all that, because I do want to share the whole piano, because I'm not the greatest, but at least I could teach some people who wants to play piano how to do what I do, and what are some of the tricks and tips that I use to play jazz or whatever, right? Um, and yeah, so basically that's it. That's all I have to share. It's another thing that I would like to do. It's kind of, as I said before, it's kind of like an itch. It's like, ooh, I have a creative thought. I need to pick at that itch
Mhm.
in order to satisfy
Yeah.
my creative ness. It's like, ooh, if I don't do it, then when I'm drawing, I'll just be like, oh, it'd be so nice if I could, stream a little bit piano. Focus. And then after 5 minutes, oh, piano. It's like, focus. So that's what I'm going through right now. Just something to share. Yes. So Captain Blue
I
Blue
can relate.
and Captain Blue Blue asked, so will you let the public test the game at some point? do you intend to wait for a commercial release? Well, let's take a one question at a time. Uh, First question
Okay.
is, so will you let the public test the game at some point? And Michael, I'm gonna let you answer all of it because you have the best knowledge and directives on this launching of the game. Um,
Sure.
yes. Yeah.
The short answer is yes, absolutely. The
Okay.
slightly longer answer is we are working towards some sort of beta once we get our sort of prototype first level done. We want to share it with you guys. You guys are going to be the very first people who get invitations to play the thing, and we want your feedback.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely, we will be sharing a playtest opportunities
Mm,
with the community, with the public.
cool. Nice. And
Next question.
do you intend to wait for a commercial release?
No, we will do at least one round of beta. So there's a couple of there's like one goal and then there's stretch goals, right? The immediate goal is for Chris and I to get to this MVP first level completed prototype done to where we can then share it with you guys as sort of like a beta where you can give feedback, play it, let us know you found bugs. That's the immediate goal. And once we get to that, then we're going to have discussions about like, okay, what do we do now? Do we keep going? Do we actually make this into a finished product? If we decide to do that, then there will be additional rounds of beta testing where we will take your feedback, incorporate the changes, do another round of like, okay, here it is again. Like, is everything fixed? Is this more fun? We added new stuff. Like, let us know about the new features. Um, and then that'll keep going until we get to and kind of keep doing those milestones until we get to a point where we're like, okay, I think we're ready for this thing to ship as a commercial product. We can put a box around it, put a bow on it, say this is what the thing is, and we feel very proud about it. But leading up to that, yes, there will be lots of rounds of beta testing before commercial release.
Yeah, and the last question, and you kind of mentioned it, touched on it a little bit. Will you let the fans play a beta prototype along the way to let you collect the data about the gameplay?
Yes, we don't know all the details about how we're going to do that just yet. That's still research that we're doing. And if you have suggestions, we are all ears. We're learning how to do this. So if you've got tools or you've seen the way other folks have done it that have been effective, please let us know. We could definitely use any tips that you have.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um,
More
yeah,
details to come.
yes, yes. And any other questions at all? If not, then I will move to the gallery really quick to share some of
Oh,
your
yeah.
guys' amazing work. Um, June is not in here. Feathery is not in here. Herb, King is here. Let me go ahead and open this up really quick. And Michael, I'm just gonna share this on my screen so that I don't have to do a lot of switching in and out because
Sure.
it gets
So I'll watch it
quite.
on Twitch.
Yes, yes. Just take a look
Okay,
on Twitch.
great.
King is here. Yes, I see him. Um, I see you. And one of the reasons why I am showing Herb stuff, I don't know if Herb is here, but oh crap, hold on. Shoot. Hold on. Application, Chrome.
While you're doing that, Chris, Captain Blue will ask another couple questions. What kind of games do you envision the tavern to be dealing with in the future? What kind of genres are you into? Um, Good questions. We haven't planned too much about what is beyond the rail shooter. I will say we have talked a little bit about mobile games, a little bit about sort of digital card games, kind of like Hearthstone sort of a thing. And maybe like a third person action adventure type game. Those are the things that we've talked about so far, but we would definitely be open to possibly other things. Both Chris and I are way into Overwatch. We're big like hero shooter fans. I don't think we could make a hero shooter. I think that's a little bit more ambitious than what two people could do. But yeah, so hopefully that will kind of like whet your appetite to some of the potential projects we're thinking about, but um, more to come.
Yeah. Um, so last night I was on Herb Master's stream, and Herb Master is really close with or I would like to say we are a kind of a small community of artists. King always goes there and hangs out with June as well as Herb. And so last night I was on Herb's stream, and June donated or not donated. She subbed gave a sub, and then for me on behalf of me, and then I was able to get this cool little sketch that Herb designed. And it was so cool because he basically like drew this in like less than 10 minutes. It was freaking awesome. It's
Wow.
simple yet is super super adorable, super super cute.
Yeah.
And basically I
Love
just
it.
said, "Can you please draw me a chibi anime girl?" And then boom, smoke bomb. There it is.
That's so
Uh,
cool.
and it was very very awesome. He does all these like little very very cute drawings of requests from people. He if anyone gives him like a sub so donations, then he draws whatever he wants for them, and I think that's so cool. And Anime Jesus was there. Yeah, you were there. You saw it. So there's that. So and also part of kind of like the small little community that I'm part of. June she. How am I? I'm not doing. Is this right? Yeah, this is right. Unfortunately, is a little bit
Oh,
zoomed in too much. Can I zoom out a little? There you go. She again, June is also
this
a
is so
freaking
cool.
amazing artist. She does like one
Yeah, this is
painting.
great.
Yeah, she does like one painting a day, and so she posted this in our Discord. And anytime I get to show June stuff, it's always an honor and a pleasure because she has her challenges, but she's able to pick herself up and do a whole bunch of these like paintings every single day. She streams every morning, so it's pretty amazing. So I just want to give them a shout out. And I don't think Pirate Princess is here, nor Feathery Justice yet. But Rapid Punches runs in that circle too, and their art is dope. Yeah, yeah, Rapid Punches is also really, really talented. She does animation too with her art, so that's really, really awesome. And yeah, and thank you so much, King Kaz, for sharing that. And oh, actually, let me open that right now. Let me see. So, oh shoot, how am I supposed to open this? Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to share this in the chat as well. Hold on, let me open this up. Image. I don't know who this is. I'm trying to find the image 47. No, that's not it. So, yeah, I'm gonna have a little bit of an issue trying to show it. But for those of you guys in the chat, go ahead and click on that link, um, and check out the Rapid Punches art. Why can't I open this? Hold on. Let me do this. Click.
Um,
Yeah. I need I
ooh.
need a I need a URL address. Oh, I know this right here.
Yeah, you can just copy that. While you're doing that, Captain Blue Blue also says, I have written a short text giving my avatar some backstory. Is that something you can share in the tavern, Chris?
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Say that one more time. So
Oh,
sorry, I was trying to
uh,
get this
no,
thing
no,
done.
that's fine. You're doing a thing. Well, Captain Blue Blue has a text of avatar backstory. Yes, Captain Blue Blue, if you can, as long as it's not too long. If it's really long, it might be too much for us to read. But yeah, if it's brief, we'd be happy to share that. We'd love to see it.
Sorry. Okay. So this, man,
There you
I'm
go.
like I'm struggling. I'm struggling. You guys could tell my computer is like lagging like a mofo. Maybe I'm sharing this on Chrome. Chrome is killing it, taking up my resources. But King, is this designed by Rapid? And if so, that's freaking awesome. That is freaking awesome. And what did Captain Boo said? I have written a short text giving my avatar some backstory. Is that something you can share in the tavern? And you said yes, right, Michael?
Yeah, as long as it's not too long. If it's a page including dialogue, trying to find a way to share a document file that won't also let my real name get out there. Yeah, uh, that's fine. Definitely do whatever you need to do to
Hmm.
protect your identity. And then if you need to like DM Chris, we can just extract the text. Um, a page might be a little bit long, I think, for us, but we can certainly take a look at it.
Yeah, and if it's too long, we can take a look at it next time too. We don't have to like try to cram it
Sure.
down in this session. We'll take a look at it next time. And it gives us some time to digest it as well. So this it was
Totally.
confirmed by King that this is designed by Rabbit. So yeah, thank you so much again. King is like the guy who basically introduces everyone to everyone, and he's always there supporting all the artists out there, and I really really appreciate that, King. You are always welcome on my channel as well as the Creative Tavern. And someday I definitely want to, chat with you in person because King and I, we kind of more or less grew up on the same TV shows and, Are You Afraid of the Dark and Nickelodeon and all that stuff that,
Oh yeah,
remember all that fun shows like
I
Melissa,
do.
Clarissa Explains It All. There's also that,
Yeah.
do you, what is it? Do You've Got Guts? Because these kids got guts or some shit like that. Ah, fuck.
You were like
I f
Wild and Crazy Kids,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
where the t-shirts, right?
Yeah,
What was
yeah,
that one?
yeah.
I can't remember, but there was
Guts.
the one where it was like the kids go into a video game, right? And they're like it's a side scroller and they're like they need to climb the
Yeah.
crag, which is
I
like that big mountain.
I think King said it. It's guts, right?
Oh
These kids
yeah. Okay,
got
yeah, I think
guts.
you're right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's cool. Yeah. So yeah, we were just like talking about some of the TV shows that we watch, like Salute Your Shorts. Have you ever seen that, Michael? Salute Your Shorts?
Salute Your Shorts. I don't think I've seen that one, no.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely fun. But yes, yeah, these are awesome. And Herb, thank you so much for drawing this for me. That's so cool. All right. Did Captain Boo Boo put his stuff on in the gallery yet? Oh, not yet.
Not sure.
Not sure. Okay. No worries. You know what? I'm going to call it and say, Captain Boo Boo, take your time. Post it in the tavern. Obviously, keep your stuff safe. But I will reserve your story, your dialogue, everything for next session if that's okay with you. It'll give me time to digest it, give Michael time to digest it as well, so that we don't rush through it, right? Uh, Gentleman Hedgie says, would it be cool for me to share some pictures from an airspace museum I visited today? Yes, please share it, and we'll take a look at it next session if that's cool. But yeah, definitely share. This is a platform for
Yeah,
you
that'd be
guys to
cool.
share anything and everything that is inspirational to you and what you think it can be inspirational to each of us. Anime Jesus says,
Totally.
did you mean Nick Arcade? Does that ring a bell to you, Michael? That doesn't ring a bell to me. Nick Arcade.
It's been so long.
Yeah, it's been years since I've watched a Nickelodeon. Man, that
Now
Nickelodeon was my
as soon as
childhood.
we get off, yeah. But now it's one of those things where it's like, if I don't figure out what this is, it's gonna drive me crazy. So I'm gonna probably go down the Google search rabbit
Yeah,
hole after
yeah.
this to figure out what was that show.
Yeah,
Maybe I can do that
yeah.
now.
That's cool. All right, guys. Thank you everyone for being here. You guys all are awesome and amazing. I know I always say that, but it really truly means a lot to me and Michael that you guys are here, that just being part of the journey because, Michael and I could do this, offline, but just to have you guys here is so much more rewarding, just to know that we're actually going on the right direction and getting feedback from you guys. It's very, 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 very super valuable. Oh, let me go ahead and go back to this thing right here. Ah, man, my computer is like wanting to crash, but I won't let it. I won't let it. Uh, then hold on. King says Nick Arcade is where you move Mikey. I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
I don't remember
But
either.
yeah, I gotta do a little research. Captain Lewis says, then I have more time to make it even better. Yeah. Heavy says, I love everything aviation, especially from the World War era. That is awesome. Yes, please do share. All right, put it in the chat. We'll definitely take a look at it next session. More content for us to look at. Yeah, that is cool. All right, so thank you guys again for being here. Michael and I thank you. Oh, actually, Michael can. He's right here. You could thank him yourself. But yes,
Thanks, everybody.
yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I will go ahead and, oh, hold on. I always forget to plug our stuff. Um, yes. So currently right
And
now I
Raid.
am, oh yes, and Raid. So currently right now, I am, most of you guys in this chat already knows what where we are found. Let me put the social in, as well as putting Michael's social in as well. If you guys have not followed, please follow in the appropriate areas. But currently, right now, I have a Kickstarter going. If you guys like enamel pins, I have enamel pin Kickstarter going up. It's loosely based on the Sailor Moon cartoon. It's an anime that I grew up with. I created steampunk version pins of them. So yeah, if you guys like that, go ahead and check it out. The link is in the description. I am also working on the tarot cards, and that will be live after the current Kickstarter. And then later on, I am designing for my next Kickstarter. I'm doing the Seven Deadly Sins girls. There's going to be illustration as well as little pins that you can that I may or may not make into pins. I don't know. Michael knows that I'm trying to stay away from pins because the whole pin production manufacturing process, it's a pain to fracking ass. Because in a batch of 100 pins, sometimes you only get 20 good ones out of 100. So that's a big pain, and I don't want to do pins anymore if I can help it. But if people love it, I gotta give what the people like, right? So, and also you can obviously find me at twitch.tv/Elite Design Studio to see me do a lot more sketching. And hopefully one day I could do piano. Play piano, play piano. And I'm gonna throw it to you, Michael. Where can they find you?
Sure. So the best place to find me is right here every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But in addition to that, I also have a Twitch channel. It's not quite up and running yet, but will be soon. Soon being like maybe in a month. But I'm working on at least 2 different shows that I want to do there. One of which I will be talking through my book, kind of like storytelling. We'll go through like plot and how all that works. And the second channel will be kind of like a book club where we'll actually be reading other books. Probably going to start with some Michael Crichton stuff. And then we'll kind of like read the books together and talk about them. It'll be a lot of fun. So I'm planning to do those 2 things. They're not ready yet, but coming soon. And then finally, my book. If you're really interested, Chris got on the screen there, Blockbuster Blueprint. I'm working on a revised edition, as we had talked about earlier. So if you want to wait for that, you can. But if you're eager and you want to find out what's in there now, like you can go ahead and go get the current edition. But I am very close, month or two, to having a new edition of that book out. It's mostly going to be. It's not exactly the same. There are going to be new things that I've added. There are going to be some things that I've changed. But for the most part, the model itself is not going to change. That there's nothing that I've discovered since then. I'm like, oh, this completely changes the way it works. It's mostly responding to feedback that I've gotten. A lot of which is like feature requests, like, oh, this is great, but it would be awesome if you included an example of XYZ. So I'm putting that stuff in there, and I'm also going to be making some general revisions, most of which is to update the book since I haven't touched it in 5 years and get it ready for the audiobook version. Both of which are coming soon, so stay tuned. In the meantime, yeah, you can find me here talking with Chris twice a week.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that. And yes, we will be here next. What is it? Today's what? When today's Wednesday. We will be here
Today's
Sunday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, we will be here Sunday. And so thank you guys again so much for everything. Thank you so much for being here and just spending time with us. That really, really means a lot to me and Michael. All right, we're gonna call it good night, guys. Oh, stay. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna raid, but
We're gonna raid.
we're gonna raid, and so I will go ahead and put this screen on. You guys can still hear us, but it's essentially we're gonna end stream. All right, guys, but don't go anywhere.